I played over 50 hours of Pokémon Scarlet, and believe me when I tell you, this game is amazing. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. And today do we have a great video in store for you all. I was able to get my hands on a copy of Pokémon Scarlet, which does not actually release till this Friday. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, Minus, how did you get a copy of the game before the official launch? And let me tell you right here and right now, I got connections. Let's just say my dad works at Nintendo. If you want to know the real way I got the game early, I'll explain the truth at the end of this video. Now I don't have a ton of structure for this video here. I might just begin talking about something that I enjoyed, but then might do a full 180 and talk about stuff that I think could be improved on. Alright, now before I get started, I gotta drop this quick disclaimer. This review is pretty much spoiler free. I'm not gonna go too deep in depth about the story, the Pokemon, the legendaries, and other additional twists and turns that occur during this game. Alright then, with that being said, let's get started. Let me start this review by saying this. These games put Pokemon Sword and Shield to shame. I do think it's fair to say though, Sword and Shield walked so that Scarlet and Violet could run. Literally. Now what I mean by this is that these games do everything that Sword and Shield tried to do, but they kind of fell flat on it in a bunch of different aspects. But these games fixed a lot of those missteps found in Generation 8. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Sword and Shield were too ambitious or anything, because Pokemon's a $1 trillion company, and their games are far from cutting edge. Well, you know, when you're a second generation on a single console, you're going to be much more buttoned up and polished. We've seen this before, like in Generation 5 and 7. Okay, so the first point I want to discuss is exploration. This is what Pokemon should have been like 2 generations ago. You can pretty much go wherever you want in this game. It truly is the first open-world Pokemon game. Once you go through the tutorials and select your starter, you're free to waltz right up to the 8th gym leader and give it the old college try. I will say this, though. It's not really a spoiler or anything, but the levels do not scale, so I don't recommend this route. However, when you get a solid team and a couple evolutions under your belt, you can pretty much make it work wherever you are. This non-linear path is what we've been wanting so long from Pokemon, and we finally have it. This is going to open the door to so much replayability, especially when you mix in the story. Oh, and speaking of the story is something I won't go too deep into because, I mean, that's obviously where a good chunk of the spoilers would come from. But I will say this game has multiple storylines, and I put multiple in air quotes because it's not really like one of those choose your own destiny page book type things. It's hard for me to explain without giving away what happens. I'll say this though. I do like that they added this. Having the option to do these storylines pretty much as you please, I give Pokemon a ton of credit for changing up the normal narrative formula. And again, this is just going to lead to so much more replayability, which has kind of been lacking the past few generations in Pokemon. For the good stuff now. It's probably a good time for me to talk about the actual Pokemon part of this review. Now the only reason I chose Pokemon Scarlet over Pokemon Violet is because I like the color red. I'm totally indifferent about both Koraidon and Miraidon. I honestly think they both look pretty freaking goofy. However, they do play arguably the biggest role a legendary has ever played in the games, so Koraidon kinda grew on me. So I'll begin with the starters then. In my opinion, these are some of the worst starters we've ever had, at least since Unova. Now these guys in their first stage are awesome. I think Fuecoco is adorable. Sprigato seems like a perfect companion, and Quaxly seemed like it could have been the next Rowlet. As of right now, I don't believe any of their final forms have been revealed to the public. But I'm gonna tell you right now, they all suck. However, these guys are totally OP in-game and are going to be major threats when the competitive Pokemon scene begins. Other than this though, a ton of new Pokemon are major hits in my opinion. On my team, I used Quaxly's final evolution, Lechonk for a little bit, Armorogue, and my team MVP. Yeah, they were all awesome. And right now, I'm currently trying to figure out how to get Gimmighoul with my Pokemon Go account. Now here's another borderline spoiler part of the video. So skip ahead 10 seconds if you scared. The Paradox Pokemon in Scarlet are amazing. A lot of these new Pokemon I'm still trying to get used to. You know, there's always an adjustment period for a couple of these newer Pokemon to grow on you, and you can become more familiar with them. Like, I'm still not used to this abomination from Alola. Now, obviously, not all the Pokemon are going to be in the game, but we will be able to use all the new Hisuian Pokemon from Legends Arceus. I believe we'll be able to send them over early next year in the new Pokemon Home. I can't wait to frolic around with my homie Arcanine. Alright, now the last thing I'm going to talk about is the gimmick of this generation, Terastalization. I'm going to be 100% blatantly honest with you guys, and this is the worst gimmick we've ever had. It's way too confusing and just straight up goofy. Like, some of these Pokemon kinda look cool with little chandeliers on their head, like Dragapult, but most of them look stupid. In my humble opinion, the gimmicks introduced in the newer generations have been getting progressively worse. Megas were better than Z-moves, Z-moves are better than Gigantamax/Dynamax, and everything's better than Terastalization. This gimmick, similar to Dynamax, is going to cause a ton of unbalancing issues within the competitive scene. Luckily, I suck at competitive, so that's not going to be a worry for me. One thing that I think is good about Terastalization is that pretty much any Pokemon can do it. And it can be pretty much any type, so it's a total crapshoot when battling. You never know. One battle you could see a Tyranitar and be like, oh, I'm about to dunk on him with a fighting type move. But then he goes Danny Phantom on ya, goes Ghost, and changes the whole battle. Overall, these games freaking rock. Great Pokemon is back. Between these games and Legends Arceus, the Pokemon Company is on a bit of a hot streak after giving us a few years of dumpster fires. These games are an easy 9 out of 10 for me, and I cannot recommend these games to you enough. Please let me know what version you guys are planning on getting, and let me know which starter you plan on choosing in the comments below. Okay, now, if you really want to know how I got this game so early, I'll tell you the truth. My pops does not only work at Game Freak, he is in charge of it. My father is Junichi Masuda, and I am the sole heir to his Pokemon empire. And I will be the very best, like no one ever was. Nah, I'm just gonna use an emulator.